Hey, welcome to PitchIQ. My name is Eric Young, founder and CEO, and I wanted to take a look today at our man Aaron Judge back in the Bronx and take a look at his swing, his operation, his approach, and try to come up with a game plan to get one of the best hitters of our generation in his prime, how to get him out. And it's becoming increasingly more difficult to do that. But I think with a sound approach and a sound process, any hitter has weaknesses, and let's dive in right now. So, if you've been following me for any amount of time, or even if this is your first time checking us out over here, I like to go through a simple process that will give you something to lean on when you're facing a big behemoth of a guy like this next time he's in the box. Okay. And the way I like to look at it is I'd like to take a look at his feet first, his hands second, and then the plane of the bat path third. And some people might ask, well, why would we want to do that? Why don't we just look at the swing? Well, here's why. The feet are going to take the hands, and the hands take the swing. The swing takes the bat to the contact point. So it's sort of like looking at something upstream, midstream, downstream, and then the final product at the end. Okay, so we need to know where he's coming from in order to know where he's going and where he's trying to go. All right. So let's take a look at this. Where are his feet? His feet are slightly more than shoulder width apart, and he is, well balanced, pretty relaxed position, slightly open. You can tell right here on this right side video that his feet are slightly open, and we know just from watching him. I know this doesn't depict it very well, but he's far off the plate, right? Remember, this guy's 6'7", 275 pounds. He's standing off the plate. Okay, because why? Because he probably wants to get his arms extended to something out over the plate. So he can take advantage of his pop, which is mostly straightaway center. Oops, let me flip this around. Mostly to straightaway center, right center field, and right field. Now, of course, he does have pull side pop as well. No question about that. But for the most part, his approach is a back up the middle, lifting approach. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Let's go back to the beginning here. All right, where are his feet? Where do they start? They start slightly open. And where do they finish? He's going to have a leg lift, slight little timing mechanism. Leg lift there. He's getting into his backside load, and he likes to glide. And where do his feet finish? He finishes square. So he starts slightly open. We can tell by this right here. Right side video, slightly open here. Lift and glide. Gets into this backside hip really well. Timing mechanism. Gets the foot down. Just after release, the foot is down. And he's now closed himself off ever so slightly. Now he's not landing in a closed position. He's landing very much neutral. Okay, with his feet headed straight at the pitcher or at the ball. All right, so that's the feet. Starts open, lands even. All right, now let's go back. Let's look at the hands. Where are the hands? Hands are pressed forward. Let me switch this drawing tool here for a second. Hands are slightly pressed forward. It's about even with, just to his right hip flexor, maybe a little bit further back than that. That's where they start. They stand. They're not high. They're not low. They're pretty neutral in general. He doesn't have like hands way up top, which would suggest a swing path. That would be a low ball path. And guys who start really low oftentimes have a flatter to more uphill angle path. But he's starting neutral, right around letter high, shoulder high, Starts him there, pressed forward towards the pitcher slightly. And as he gets into this leg lift, where do the hands go? They go up into his load. They stay neutral. Here he gets the max load right here. His hands are still very much neutral. He's got the bat tip towards pitcher a little bit. And then as we move forward here into front foot strike, where do they go? They're getting slotted up pretty well right in here. Okay. So they've come from just under the chin, let's say, and he's dropped them about 2 inches. So nothing too much to glean there other than for a big dude, he's pretty quiet, right? So far I'm looking at his feet and I'm looking at his hands. And now I'm going to look at his head actually as well. I'm not seeing any kind of head movement as well, right? Good hitters don't move their heads, but they do move their feet and their hands. And oftentimes that'll give you a tell as to where to throw the dude. But Judge here, 6'7", big dude, still not giving me a whole lot to really read, right? And that's what makes him so good. He's not giving any tells. He's well balanced. The foot is down. His hands are cocked. Now let's look at the balance. Pretty centered, right? We're not seeing a whole lot of weight on the front foot. We're seeing probably a 60-40 bias towards the backside, which is pretty ideal. All right, probably maybe 60-40 bias to this backside, and he's going to be hitting off this back leg without too much of a rush or upper body going forward, right? See that fixed point that I drew right here? That fixed point. As soon as that foot gets down, that head is not traveling forward. It's not traveling. So it's not traveling this way. It's not traveling this way. It's not going back towards the Blue Jays dugout. And it's not coming towards the Yankees dugout either. He's keeping it very still, like a golfer, like a PGA golfer. And he's working around that fixed point of his back hip. Very nice. Okay, so still nothing really to glean. I'm not a hitting coach, obviously. I'm just trying to get this guy out. So I'm just trying to find tells, and so far, nothing really stands out other than where his feet took him. Now let's take a look at his swing. What does his swing do? He's known for laying that bat down early, that bat path early, staying on plane forever, and he's able to create contact points all along this plane. Here, for a contact point to go to right field. Here, as a contact point to go to center field. And then if he catches the ball out front, there's his contact point for pull side. Okay. Now let's take a look at this diagram right here. And we can see his contact point is laid over the screen, and we know that he actually has a pretty deep contact point right over the front of the plate. Most guys who are pull happy, like the Javi Baez's of the world, are going to have their contact point out front, and we know that they are pull happy, especially especially when they're getting home run happy. They're going to try to catch the ball out front, but Judge does a really nice job of trying to catch the ball deep, no further out than this point right here, or even back here, as he's trying to drive the ball to center and drive the ball to right. So he's trying to see the ball for as long as he possibly can, put a good swing on it, and use his brute strength and brute force to hit it out to the big parts of the park in center field, or to catch it a little bit late, like he does on this rep, and hit the ball out to right field. So this is a homer to right field, right center. You can see the center field just start mowing, trying to race that pitch down, race that hit down. So he catches the ball somewhat deep. You can see the contact point is actually out front right there. That's pretty deep. If he were to catch it out here, he would have hit that ball to pull side. Okay, so he's trying to allow the ball to travel, get as much eye on the ball as possible, so he can take a later swing and use his brute force, drive the ball to right field. But again, what's the swing doing? He's staying on plane forever. So I'm going to switch this drawing tool. He's going to stay on plane forever. He lays the bat path, holds his bat path until he gets the contact point out here, continues that swing up. Okay, so he's flat through the zone. Okay, flat to slightly arced through the zone. Okay, so that would suggest if he's laying his bat path like this in this kind of an arc, that would suggest that he could be, not is, but could be vulnerable to the high pitch. Now the problem is he's 6'7", so he can cover the high pitch. So if we were to try and go up and he takes it, it's going to be a ball. Okay, so he probably has pretty good high ball coverage. So if we wanted to take shots up here, we're not going to live up here in this part of the zone in order to get him out. You can see right here his hands are up there already. But I think there is probably some room to elevate at the top of the zone. Now the question is, do we want to go in or go away? So I go back to the beginning of his operation, and I say to myself, all right, where did the feet start? He started slightly open, and then he's going to land here, which would suggest that his body would be coming out a little bit across the plate, which would create a little bit of opportunity where? A little bit of opportunity inside, and maybe a little bit of opportunity up and in. Okay, so if I'm looking to use my fastball, if I'm a right-handed pitcher specifically, we're talking about right-handers because we have a right-hander on the mound, I'm going to look for opportunities to try and get in on him, to neutralize his arms from getting extended out over the plate where he can drive the ball to right field. Okay, so we know his approach is to right field and center field. We know his feet are going from an open stance to a neutral or closed stance relative. So that's two factors that he's looking for the ball away. We also know he's 6'7", and guys who are 6'7" like to keep their arms extended where he can use his brute force and to drive the ball. So all indicators based upon his feet, his hands, and his swing path are indicating that there is opportunity to get in on him. So what will we do next? Now I'm going to look at the heat map and see if what my eyes are telling me are verified by the information. And here's the heat map. And yes, it looks like he wants the pitches extended out over the plate so he can drive the ball to center field and right field. And that obviously creates opportunity to go inside and to go a little bit up where he has a little bit of trouble up in here, maybe can tie him up. Now, I'm not saying you live in there because obviously he's going to adjust and try and then just and go pull Johnson on us. But I think when you establish that, hey, I'm going to go inside on you, I'm not scared of you, big man. I'm also going to elevate on you and try to not necessarily intimidate, but we're trying to influence this hitter on the inner half because we do know he has high strikeout rates on sliders and breaking balls that are down and away. All right, so pretty basic attack plan here would be something like a hard in, soft away approach, or to pitch him backwards, which with a soft away to hard in approach. Right, start over here perhaps, maybe take a couple shots inside. Maybe try to get him leaning out for something that entice him out away where he thinks it's a fastball he's going to get, and he's going to try to drive it over here. Maybe entice him with another one of these breaking balls. And as soon as we kind of get his eyes, because you're not really going to get his body or his approach to change so much. But if you get his eyes working away, especially down, then you take your shot inside to try to jam him or tie him up in some way or go up over that barrel, especially with two strikes where he might be a little bit more likely to chase this high ball pitch coming in at this kind of a trajectory right up here at the top of Salvador Perez's mask. All right, so there you have it, all right? That's our approach for dissecting one of the best hitters of our generation. clearly in his prime and having another epic year right now. Let's check the feet first. Where do they start? Where do they end? Check the hands second. Feet first. Where do they start? Where do they finish? Hands second. Where do they start? Where do they finish? And then watch the swing. Third. What's his approach? His approach is trying to go over here, trying to go to oppo for the most part. And then from that point, we start reading the foul balls and the thought process and the eyes. If you can get his eyes out on the outer part of the plate, specifically down, that will create some opportunities to jam him on the inside. All right. So I hope that helps. Next time you're facing a big monster in the opposing batter's box, kind of give you an idea of some of the things that you can do and create your own approach for attacking hitters that are a little bit dangerous. All right. Thanks so much for watching Pitch IQ. My name's Eric Young. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.